On April 25th and 26th, 1986, the worst nuclear accident in history happened in what is now northern Ukraine, as a reactor at a nuclear power plant exploded and burned. Shrouded in secrecy, the incident was a watershed moment in both the Cold War and the history of nuclear power. The disaster took place near the city of Chernobyl in the former USSR, which invested heavily in nuclear power after World War II. On April 25, 1986, routine maintenance was scheduled at VI Lenin nuclear power station's fourth reactor, and workers planned to use the downtime to test whether the reactor could still be cooled if the plant lost power. However, during this test, some of the workers violated safety protocols, and this caused problems in the nuclear plant. There were multiple attempts to shut down the reactor, but this caused another power surge that caused a chain reaction of explosions inside. Finally, the nuclear core itself was exposed, spewing radioactive material into the atmosphere. A radioactive plume of smoke and debris rose about a kilometer in the air and eventually spread across all Europe. It was estimated this radiation was equivalent to 500 atomic bombs of the same level that were dropped on Hiroshima. Firefighters attempted to put out a series of blazes at the plant, and eventually helicopters dumped sand and other materials in an attempt to stop the fires and contain the contamination. Despite the death of 2 people in the explosions, the hospitalizations of workers and firefighters, and the danger from a follow-on fire, no one in the surrounding areas was evacuated until about 36 hours after the disaster began. According to Soviet officials, 31 people were killed directly from the disaster, but the death toll is greatly debated. Among workers and local residents, the estimates vary between 4,000 according to the WHO and 60,000 according to the report by 2 radiation scientists. The United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation has reported that more than 6,000 children and adolescents developed thyroid cancer after being exposed to radiation from the incident. So in reality, the real number of deaths because of this accident is unknown. Following the disaster, the Soviet Union created a circle-shaped exclusion zone with a radius of 30 kilometers centered on the nuclear power plant. The exclusion zone covered an area of about 2,634 square kilometers around the plant. However, it was later expanded to 4,143 square kilometers to include heavily radiated areas outside the initial zone. Although no people actually live in the exclusion zone, scientists, scavengers, and others may file for permits that allow them to enter for a limited time. The Chernobyl incident was a historic event. It was a unique event and the only accident in the history of commercial nuclear power where radiation-related fatalities occurred.